everybody. I'm Chris.
I'm Adrienne.
And I'm Jimmy.
And welcome to WorldView Finder, episode 20. We made it.
The big 2-0.
Jimmy,
We say that every week.
you didn't think we could make it to 20, but
That's
we
true.
did. You didn't think we'd make it past 3. But
99% of podcasts don't make it past episode 20. But here we are. Well, I guess we're not past it yet.
Yeah.
But next time we will
tune
be.
in next week and see if we made it. So we talked about wrestling last week, which I really enjoyed. But I decided to watch the Royal Rumble because on Peacock, you can watch... They have the whole... From the very first one of Royal Rumble, and so I watched it with my son. But first of all, it's like 3 hours.
Oh my!
And but there's other wrestling things that happen, and then because there's like a contract being signed by Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan. I don't know what it was. I was just fast forwarding because my son was like, "What? This is boring." So
Get
like,
to the Royal Rumble.
Wait, Andre the Giant is signing a contract with Hulk Hogan, and then there's of course the table gets broken and somebody gets thrown through it, and you're like, "Wait." That's a weird contract signing. But then the Royal Rumble happens. So every 2 minutes, a new wrestler comes in the ring. And so it's just like...
Oh, it's just chaos.
Oh, it's great. So, yeah. So it starts out with two guys that are just fighting for 2 minutes.
It makes you think of like a video game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They definitely have Royal Rumble video games. But it's so good. It was a lot of fun. So, but we like kept fast forwarding because Shepard's like, he's kind of getting bored with it. But then... He's playing Animal Crossing, and he built a wrestling rink in his house in Animal Crossing.
Wow,
That's
I like
amazing.
it.
And he's like, let's watch Royal Rumble.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Throwing
all the animals out of there.
You got to hook. Well, you can't. I mean, it's really just a bed.
That's
it looks like a wrestling rink. So, hey, today we'll be talking about superhero recap because we've finally we're a little bit behind on our superhero watching, but there's new stuff coming on Disney Plus all the time, and so I watched that Guardians of the Galaxy 3. You finished Moon Knight, which I still haven't, but spoilers maybe.
Yes, we're gonna spoil it a little bit.
And then Jimmy is going to talk about the happiness equation.
The happiness equation.
Not to be confused with Happy from the Spider-Man movies, but yeah. So you want to jump into Moon Knight? So you watched.
Yeah,
because it came out.
I can.
What, earlier this year or last?
No, last year. It's been a year.
Oh,
how weird!
It's been a year. So you haven't watched
I know.
Moon Knight.
So it's not like.
But not a lot of people watch this. I felt.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah. So that's the thing is, I decided to watch it because I was sick in bed for a couple days, and I was like, this is one that I haven't watched, and a couple of my friends that do like Marvel said that they enjoyed it, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna binge it. It's like 6 episodes. It's not very long.
Oh, it's not. Oh.
No, and I do love that main guy that plays Poe. I only know him as Poe in
Poe Dameron. Yeah,
in Star Wars. But anyway, I really enjoyed it, and so whenever I talk to people about it afterward, like, oh, I finally watched Moon Knight. They like you and a couple other people said like, I got into like 1 or 2 episodes, and then I just kind of was bored with it and I quit.
I didn't say I was bored with it. I just other things in life happened and we never finished it. So
yeah, but I'm saying it wasn't
bored.
like high priority. Like,
right.
Oh, I really want to finish this or watch this, but it takes a turn that I wish people actually knew, because once you start explaining it, they're like, oh, like that sounds more interesting. I think I want to watch it. For like, I'm not really into Egyptian lore or things like that. So even the premise was a little bit like, I don't know if I want to go down this trail. But okay, here's where the spoilers come in. So if you really don't want Moon Knight to be spoiled
after a year,
then turn this off and go watch it. But oh no. There's one episode where he basically, like, I think he dies or gets killed, and he wakes up in a insane asylum.
Oh.
And all of the characters and people are in context, and like even there's like the main guy that he goes and talks to and like has therapy sessions with is really into Egyptian decor.
Oh.
And so it's a little bit like,
is this all just in his mind?
Is this in his mind?
Oh, see, I like stuff like that.
See, yeah. And I'm like, if people knew that comes up and it's like, is he crazy? You know?
Yeah.
And this is all in his head. What do you do about that? And so that's why I really liked it. And so it wrestles with what's reality, what's not.
like
And
Our
watch
last
our episode
episode.
last week. Yeah.
yeah, and even this like, does your past? Well, I think we're gonna dive into this. Is like, does your past, the bad things that happen to you, like, turn into good?
Yeah.
Or it makes you stronger as you grow, and you are able to do more things because of the bad things in your past.
Yeah. And so, because you listened to a podcast this week about that, right? Is that?
Yeah. So the idea was this guy was looking back kind of at his life, and he's like, a lot of times we think of things that were bad in our life that happened to us, and we almost resent them. But he's like, in a lot of ways, these bad things that happen have made me who I am today. And he used an illustration. He's like, if you were to have a video game and you have a character and you want them to have the traits of being strong or being patient, how would you level that character up to get those strengths or to get those characteristics? You would put them through these different hard things that would make them patient and that would make them strong. So now he's like, I look at these bad things that happen, and now I'm grateful for them because they made me stronger and they made me who I am today.
Yeah, I think that's a classic hero story.
Yeah.
Is they aren't who they're meant to be until they go through trials.
Yeah.
Or it's never
Or
like
get bit by a radioactive spider.
yeah, or like training montages.
Yeah, I love a good training montage.
But usually, even the catalyst for a training montage is like something terrible has happened, and now they've got the, I don't know what, oomph to actually train, or the motivation, I guess.
But what is interesting, I think a lot of times what happened, like in hindsight, we can see that, oh, that made us stronger. But then if something bad happens in our life now, we're like, oh, I just want to be happy. I just want things to go smoothly. I just want things to be perfect. And if that's the case, then you don't get stronger, you don't grow, and it doesn't make for a good story.
Well, in the Bible, it's Paul talking about discipline, like that God gives to his children, his followers, and it's like nobody likes discipline at the time, like, but it is like good for you, and so I think part of that is learning discipline in those hard times, like because you can have hard times and not grow from it because you just become bitter, and so how do you get out of that though? How do you like find those things that are tough and like learn from it instead of just becoming angry or bitter or I hate life type of thing? Like,
I mean, I think something that we've touched on a lot is isolation versus community. And it's usually the people that are isolated that are having the harder time or not learning something from it until somebody else comes in their life and shows them a way. Or if they have people around them. And I think that's true in real life as well, is if you're isolated, it's way harder to get out of something on your own than when you have community around you.
And that brings us to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because that's what that's about. Because it starts off with Peter Quill, also known as Star-Lord. He's depressed because his girlfriend died from getting thrown off a cliff by Thanos. Wait, that was in like
I know.
That was way.
Just kidding.
But then, and I don't remember. I know they got her back somehow, but it's like her from a different timeline, so she doesn't remember any of the stuff, and so it's just him being like super depressed, like, and how his community, which is kind of like it's his family because his dad was a planet.
His dad was a planet.
And, that was so bizarre.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2. His mom died when he was young, and so
spoiler alert.
But that was part of like why he even like ran away in the first place, and then got taken by a spaceship, and so this one's just kind of about who his family is, and really it's about Rocket Raccoon and them trying to help him, but it's like this raccoon thing that he's now like endeared to, and so they're trying to. He's like, I would do anything to help save this. That kind of gets him out of his funk, if you will, because he's like, there are other people that I care about. There are other people that care about me. And so it's him trying to like kind of figure out what his new purpose is if his love isn't going to be who he wants her to be. So, but so it's that kind of found family type thing, but like what you're talking about with the hardships and like the community, like it was his community that kind of brought him back to health, if you will, and like helped him to face some of those hard things because Well, I won't tell you what happens, but
But I mean, that is like the classic hero's journey. Is you have this incident that pushes you into a new situation, and then the hero usually finds a mentor, and then the mentor helps guide them to become the person that they're supposed to become.
until
So
that
it's-
mentor dies.
Exactly. But then
then they
they
have
really
to,
become
like,
the person that
yeah.
they're supposed to become. But they're
They
no
have to
longer
take
relying
on
on
the
the mentor.
mantle.
Yeah. And then they get an apprentice.
And then the circle of life.
And that apprentice dies. And then they become the person they were really supposed to. But usually there's lots of death.
So
in
much
there.
death.
But yeah, and so I think a lot of times with these superhero movies, though, like there's this catalyst that pushes them to find this next level of who they're supposed to be. But like, do you get disconnected from that? Because that's where I have trouble with Superman, because it's like, I can't relate to that character. But like Peter Parker at high school, I'm like, oh, okay, I can relate.
You got bit by a
Yeah.
spider.
He's a goofy kid, yeah, and so but he, in his not Spider-Man state, like he's still like a clumsy
Yeah,
kind
and you
of.
can imagine, like, what if I get bit by a spider? But you can't really imagine, like, what if I was an alien from a different planet?
What if I was born? But even Superman, like even his powers, you're like, I can't really relate to that. But Batman, you're like, oh, like he just is a smart guy with cool tech, and so
Yeah.
I could do
And
that.
dead parents.
Yeah, and bats that flew at him.
Past trauma,
Exactly.
makes him stronger.
Why do we fall, Master Wayne?
It's a
That
good
was,
quote.
that was my best. Who's that guy?
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. That's it.
Michael Caine.
You
gotta work on it.
The Tourist.
Oh, yeah.
That
which-
scene from The
That
Tourist.
movie's great. It's probably not, but that quote. So, so should we get into daughter? You read a book.
I did.
What kind of-
I'm here for the book talk section.
Somebody reads in here. That's good.
Yeah. So read a new book. Daughter of the Sun. It's actually she's a Christian young adult fantasy author, but
Oh.
her books are not necessarily like blatantly Christian, but she says, like, just because of her worldview, this is why I was interested in the book at first, is because she's like, because of my worldview of Christianity, that it's gonna come out in my characters and the virtues that they have and the plot, things like that. And even it's just refreshing to not have to worry about bad words or even like sexual content. It's just a nice, like, good read, but it was good in terms of like world building and all that. So I say that was good. But the two main character girls, you follow both of their stories, and both of them have very similar family structure. They're like middle kids, don't know if they have magic powers and all this, but one family is very broken and the other family is very solid. And so you get inside both girls' brains of why they make the decisions they do because of their family situation and what happens to them. And so it's really interesting that it's almost like a nature versus nurture
Book.
type of book.
Yeah.
So you said it's a young adult. So like what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say because the content is clean, that you could probably go like middle school, but maybe older middle school
Okay.
to young adult. Yeah.
Is it a series or just a?
It is going to be a series. Only the first book is out.
Oh.
I know, right? But the
I
next
don't want to
book,
wait for things.
I know. The next book's coming out in November, so it's not that much of a wait to read it. But I would say, like, I was impressed by the world building, but it is the worldview so far is more like what decisions, or why do I make the decisions that I do, and what are my motivations. And so the one that comes from the broken family is more motivated by power because she often felt powerless.
Unlimited power.
And the other one is motivated by, I don't have a, like, because they both don't have their magic powers. And when the rest of their kind of tribes or clans do have magical powers, so they're both wrestling with that concept. But
Wrestling.
as the wrestling counter ding, as the one that is motivated more by power because she wants to feel powerful, and so when she does start to develop her magical powers, it's like, oh, I'm afraid that you're gonna turn into the villain of this story, and then the other girl is motivated by wanting to belong to her tribe, to be a contributor. And so her decisions are more family focused and like wanting to do what is right. And so far it's because their motivations are how they were raised.
Now, so this is something that I've always kind of been curious about, is because you talk about the nature versus the nurture thing.
Yeah.
And obviously there's two very different sides in there. But I think what's interesting too is you can have two kids from the same family that went through the same situations that end up basically the polar opposite, where you could have the kid whose parents were alcoholics, and because of that, they became an alcoholic. But then you could have a sibling who, because their parents were an alcoholic, they didn't touch alcohol ever.
Well, so one of the girls, the one that grew up in the abusive family, and by abusive, I mean verbally and like manipulative abuse, not anything like not physical.
Yeah.
She's a twin, and her twin sister is like the golden child of the tribe.
Oh.
And so that it's like what you said.
It's in there, Jimmy. Read the book.
It is in the book. So that is like you're doing nature versus nurture, but then in two separate contexts, but then even in her own family dynamic. And her sister is very submissive to her family, and they really are at war with each other too. So yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up.
Sisters.
Yeah, so I wonder what that is. It's like what determines that, if you do kind of what your parents raised you to do, or if you do the opposite of that.
So you have two siblings?
Two siblings, yes.
You have two siblings.
Nice.
But like so.
I actually have three.
What? There's a hidden brother. So no. But what was there stuff that like that your siblings did that you're like, I'm not gonna do that, like, because I mean I can think with my older brother.
No comment.
Yeah. No, but I like because I watched my brother kind of make some choices that like just like he wouldn't come home on curfew, things like that he kind of pushed those boundaries some.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean he would get in trouble for things like that, and so I would always call, like if I was late for like 5 minutes, like, hey, I'm gonna be late or whatever, or can I stay longer? Like, I mean, and a lot of times my parents would be like, yeah, that's fine or whatever. Yeah. Like, and I like if we would be at this person's house and we're gonna go do something else, I would call them like, hey, we're gonna go do this, and they're like, oh, okay. So I would like over communicate where I was gonna be and all this stuff and like all that, but I felt like I got more privileges because I followed the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
And stuff like that, and so like I kind of, but again, we were in the same household and had the same rules, but
yeah, it's like, how do you decide to push those boundaries, I guess? Is it like, do you push the boundaries by over communicating or saying like your rules are dumb, or so like I don't want to follow those, so I'm just not going to do them? I don't know.
Now, Chris, would you say you're a people pleaser?
Yes, very much so.
No, I mean, that could be. I mean, because I think some people are wired to be more people pleasing, and then some are, I think, just wired more like they want to do things their own way. They want to try to push the boundaries.
Yeah.
So it could just be that. It's like, and since you were reinforced for being a people pleaser, then you're like, oh, well, I'm going to double down and continue to do this because it's seeming to work for me. But then with your other siblings, maybe they're getting some kind of reward for pushing the boundaries. So then that's why they continue to do it.
Did you ever sneak and do bad things?
Me? No. What?
Like I mean,
no.
Not like bad things, but to like
Chris
horrible things.
I mean, don't search the river. But,
No, just like rebellious things at all. Did you ever try to do something like that?
I don't know. I mean, in college, I did watch The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, which is
That's how I rebelled.
that was his rebellion.
That's what I mean. Like there was like one time where I didn't call to ask if I could watch a certain R-rated movie, and so I did watch it.
Oh my goodness!
I
And
know.
our life has been spiraling down ever since.
Right, and so I didn't.
I don't even know you anymore.
Well, I was saying like, I feel like watching both of you, where it was like, I do have like a, I guess,
Rebellious.
hipster rebellious streak
Yeah.
where I like to go against the norm, but at the same time I also am a people pleaser, and I know like if I over communicate, then things will work out better for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm motivated by manipulation or
I don't feel like I was manipulating, but
no. I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, but me though, or my motivations, like I know if I call, then I will get extra privileges instead of getting in trouble. And
Yeah. That's not manipulation. It's like I'm
being smart about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Jimmy? Were your brother and sister drastically different than you? Or?
I don't know if they were drastically different. I was definitely, and still am, a people pleaser like you guys. So I was very much so where I'm going to follow the rules. I'm not going to go out and shoot people or anything like that. I don't think my sibling shot anybody, but
Yet.
So
Okay.
yeah, I was very much the people pleaser, and I think about this. It's like I think as you're a people pleaser, I think you do get like my parents were pretty lax with the things that I would do because I was like the good kid and I was the people pleaser. So like, oh yeah, you can kind of go do whatever you want because we know you're not going to be doing stupid stuff. So I think I did get kind of, and you get like rewarded for that. So that you continue to do it.
Yeah, you do good things, you get good things in return.
But here's another kind of theory though.
Oh.
Especially it's because our age differences, and even Nate Bargatze brings this up too in his comedy special. But I feel like even now as a parent, I'm trying to think, am I going to be consistent? Or as I grow as a parent, do my parenting styles change? And I think that happened with our parents as they... They're listening, so.
No, but I know I was thinking about Nate's joke where he's like, when the first kid arrives on the scene, he's like, they don't have money. He's like, they're just figuring things out.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like our
Yeah.
parents didn't have a lot of money. They were just figuring things out. Like, and I think they grew significantly in finances, but also in their faith journey of being open and talking more about it. And so we got, or at least I got that end of them and third child. So it's like things are way more relaxed. So my experience with my parents is totally different from my oldest brother's experience.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of families are like that. And I think the stereotype is the baby of the family gets to do whatever they want.
Are you the baby?
I'm actually the middle child.
Oh, okay, me too.
You're the middle child. Good for
Baby.
you.
Get out of here, baby.
But so the youngest of the family, but I do think that makes sense that you would think over the years that you're having kids, you would learn some things. Your thinking would kind of evolve, and you're like, oh, maybe. And I mean, like typically parents are super protective of their first child. And like, don't touch him, don't look at him, he'll get sick. But then by their third child, they're like, you can toss him around, it's okay.
Well, that's what, because my mom brought us dinner last night, and so she, like, when she came over, she's like, "Oh, you can tell this is the fourth child because like we weren't making him put on hand sanitizer, like because the first kid went through like hand sanitizer, like you need this." So she's like, "I just was out picking hot peppers and all this stuff." And she's like, "You didn't even make me put on hand sanitizer." Oh my goodness, squirted in her eyes.
Well, that's what you just you learn things as you grow as a parent, or you say like, "Wow, this parenting method did not work for this kid, so I'm gonna pivot and go the opposite way."
Like, at least I know what not to do now.
So I wonder how John Figueroa was brought up. I wonder what his upbringing led him to
John
this
Figueroa.
Florida foible. So John Figueroa, you guys don't know, he's 53 years old. He's the assistant manager at Burger King in Eustis, Florida. And he found a fanny pack. Somebody left a fanny pack in Burger King.
As you do.
I think that's probably like a common occurrence. Like
I'm constantly leaving mine in Burger King.
Yeah, I feel like if you're wearing a fanny pack, you're probably gonna eat at Burger King. You're probably gonna leave it behind. I mean, that's just
You're gonna take it off. It's like you're wearing your stretchy pants to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you're like, ah,
It's inevitable that you're gonna have to unbutton that top button or take off the fanny pack.
I can't have a double Whopper with this fanny pack on. So, Dude Zor left his fanny pack in there. Comes back for it later, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know where it is, and we didn't find it." So then police get a hold of the footage and find that the assistant manager set it on the thing. The employees looked through it, and then the assistant manager took it back to his office, and then later snuck it out of the place, hiding it under some trash bags. This is all on surveillance footage. So,
Like he doesn't know as the assistant manager.
Yeah.
The surveillance footage.
but here's what was in the fanny pack.
Yeah, what was
This
inside?
is what boggles my mind. ID card, okay.
Fair
Credit
enough.
cards, around $7,000 cash,
Wow.
passport, diamond ring, and some other personal items.
Why would you have your passport
So
on
this
you?
person was a drug dealer, an international drug dealer.
Diamond.
Diamond ring. How big is this fanny pack? Like, this is like a Jack Bauer.
Also, if you are in possession of this, why are you going to Burger King?
I know, right?
With $7,000, you
Like,
could have
I
gone
got
somewhere a little bit
$7,000.
nicer.
I'm going to Cheesecake Factory.
Hey, no, yeah, it's just, he wants to be treated royally.
That's
so
true. You can have it your way.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to Burger King. I got $7,000.
Hey, but to be fair, he probably took it off because if it was $7,000, it's probably kind of heavy. So it's like, let me sit this down.
Yeah, so $7,000. If it's all 100s, that's at least 700 bills, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So 700
Let's check your math on that.
is 100.
100, 100.
This always happens. It's like the dumbest math.
$7,000. That's at least 100 hundreds.
No, so you have
7,000 divided by 100.
Yeah, it's 70.
70.
It's close. This is why I'm doing this and not math somewhere.
Nice.
So 70. That's a lot of
Yeah, that's
a
still
lot of
bills.
dollars. So it's passport, diamond ring, and other personal. So there's a lot in this fanny pack. So yeah, so I can see why he took it off. But again, the question of why are you in Burger King with $7,000 cash?
And why aren't you so hyper aware that you
Yes.
have that on your person?
He just
I
got
like the
that.
drug dealer idea.
That's true. He got that. Or he just makes so much money that it's like $7,000. It's like us carrying $20 cash.
Yeah, but if you wouldn't go to Burger King in that with that kind of lifestyle.
Well,
I feel.
you might, because then you can just look around and be like, look at all these peasants.
Although on the Nate Bargatze podcast, they talked about the guy DoorDashed for Michael Jordan, brought him to McDonald's.
See?
But if you're at that level, you're DoorDashing. You're not going out in public because you got
Right.
the bills.
You got to flex.
So
But why is he eating McDonald's?
because it's
Because you can't beat
McDonald's.
those chicken nuggets. Those chicken nuggets or a McChicken. Or, come on. Don't hate on McDonald's.
Yeah, there's
Good
something
McFood.
about it. Because it's probably like you have that affinity for like growing up. You're like, oh, I got the McDonald's growing up.
Yeah, that's true.
Nate Bargatze loves McDonald's.
I like it. I'm a fan.
He's like, he goes like he loves it. So I don't know. So you like McDonald's?
I like it.
I like their fries. And
Their
Coke,
fries.
and their Cokes are just next level.
They are. I don't know what they do to that Coke mix, but it's. Do you guys get that Grimace shake?
No, I saw a lot of
no.
dying children on TikTok.
Yeah.
What?
You don't remember the Grimace Shake, the TikTok meme?
No.
Oh, yeah. People, they would like drink it and then it would like cut to them being like dead with the shake all over them.
Oh,
You missed that? It was
I
a big thing
completely-
for like 2 months.
Missed it. All right.
Nice.
All right, Jimmy, real quick, get into the happiness
The
equation.
happiness equation.
Because
So,
this guy thought he would be happy by getting $7,000 and some diamond rings,
seamless transition.
but he didn't.
Nice.
Wasn't happy.
So here is the idea behind the happiness equation. So I think there's a whole book written about it, but I listened to a podcast about it. So basically what the happiness equation is expectations minus reality equals happiness. So whatever you expect minus whatever the reality is determines how happy you are.
Okay.
So I think that is a concept in itself. And then I have some weird kind of
I don't even get
exercises
it.
you can go through to
Oh.
make yourself happy that are a little unorthodox. So do you
Let's
guys?
do
So as the general principle, expectations minus reality, does that determine how happy you are? Does that equation work out?
Well, I don't even get that.
So you're going to
so-
Holiday World.
Uh-huh.
You're expecting it to be like, hey, we're going to ride all the rides. We're going to have a lot of fun with
Yeah.
my kids and all this stuff. The reality is you get there and you stub your toe and you're like limping around the whole time.
It's too hot.
You're
the lines are
pregnant.
long.
Yeah, lines are long, and like your kids are. And
Okay, so if I take away the reality, then I'm happy. Shouldn't it be the other way around?
So here it is. So if you are, say, you're walking down the street, and you weren't expecting anything, and you found $1 on the street.
Yeah.
So your reality exceeded your expectations. So you'd be happy. But then
Right.
if you had $10 in your wallet and you're going to pull out your $10 and then you realize you only had $9, then your expectations, your reality is lower than your expectations. So then you would be unhappy.
So wouldn't it the first part of the equation be reality? And then if you take away your expectations,
Yeah, so
then you're happy?
So that is kind of a hack to be happier, and that's part of it. Is if you lower your expectations, then reality is more likely to exceed it, and therefore you'll be more happy. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay, so talking about
let's
McDonald's.
do some exercises.
Yeah, so talking about, and maybe this will help, the McDonald's thing, talking about chicken nuggets.
Yes,
so
I can
say
get
you
behind
go
this.
through the drive-thru and you order a 10-piece chicken nugget. And the first time you go around, this is your expectation, you get the 10 nuggets. That's your expectation. That's the control. And the first time you go around, you open the box, there's 11 chicken nuggets in there.
Bonus.
How do you
nug.
feel? How do you feel? You feel very happy.
Yeah, bonus.
Because the reality is exceeding your expectations. But the next time you go around, you order a 10-piece chicken nugget, and then you get home, open the box, there's 9 chicken nuggets. How do you feel?
Yeah, so you're
Is
saying
there
the expectation is actually the control.
Exactly. So you can control what your expectations are. You can't control the reality. But if your reality is ever lower than your expectations, you'll be unhappy. And if reality is ever higher than your expectations, then you'll be happy.
So it's the classic, like, keep your expectations very low.
So next time you go to Hollywood, expect it to be the worst trip ever. And
Right.
You're like, oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So a weird exercise and that kind of goes with this is, so one way to make yourself feel happier is just kind of whatever your reality is now, imagine a world where you didn't have that and really try to live in it. So like, I don't know
You
why
didn't have what?
The reality that you have.
I'll give you an example. So I don't know why I was doing this. Well, I was at the dentist a couple of months ago, and I was just sitting in the chair before they came in, and I'm like, so I was just laying there looking down at my
gums are gonna
legs.
bleed all over the place, and they're going to yell at me.
No. So I was thinking this wasn't even.
That's what I say.
So that doesn't even have anything to do with the dentist. But I tried to really, for like a minute straight, imagine what life would be if I didn't have either of my legs. No. This is, I told you it's weird. So then you
The
realize.
lowest of the
No,
lowest.
yeah, but listen. I know
Okay.
it's weird, but it's very effective. So then, in that 1 minute, you really go through and imagine what life would
It's
be.
like if you didn't have teeth. How does...
Listen, I'm just telling you what happened. So
Just imagining you at the end of the dentist visit, just trying to get up and you fall on the floor. You're like, I could walk it when I got in here, but I don't have legs. And they're like
You're
yelling
like-
at you.
it's like, okay, you're all done. You're like, boy, I'm glad I have legs. I can walk out of here.
No, but so I went through. It's like, man, what would my day be like if I didn't have legs? Like I would have to. I'd be in a wheelchair. It makes things so much harder. So after Chris is dying. So after you do this, after you go through a minute of really imagining what life would be like
gonna have to
without
turn this
legs,
off.
then
Okay.
you look down and you're like, oh, but I do have legs.
I grew back. I got legs.
And then you're like,
It's
"Wha-"
a miracle.
And then you're like, this is really nice. I really enjoy having legs. And then you're very happy.
You're very grateful for your circumstances.
Exactly.
Okay. Wow.
Just imagining all the people around you.
I didn't say anything out loud. I was just imagining it. Chris is literally.
Oh my god.
I didn't think it was going to be that funny.
It's a very serious, thought-provoking thing that Jimmy did, and we're just wrecking it. I'm sorry.
You're good.
No, but yeah,
Okay.
I'm just imagining like you living that out
Yeah.
to the people around you, and you're like, it was really hard getting in this chair without legs. And they're like, what?
Why are you saying that?
You're like, I'm just doing a thought experiment. If I didn't have legs, like,
Who are you?
like think about like this guy needs more Novocaine or something. He's on something.
But I was very happy after that because I had legs.
I am very happy after you didn't. Your exercise has made both of us.
See,
Very happy.
You didn't expect for it to be that funny, and
I
when
did
it
it.
was,
My expectations were so low.
Yeah, our expectations were like, oh, he's gonna be like, I hope I have a good dentist visit, and instead you're like, I grew legs. Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Great.
Okay.
see, but,
Can't wait to do this
you can do that with a lot of
exercise.
things. So, and I this is even more unorthodox than that. So, you guys both have kids.
We do.
So, if you
More on the way.
so
Yeah.
are there ever times where you guys are annoyed or angry with your kids?
No.
Never.
Our kids are perfect.
Your kids are so. This is now. I don't have kids, so this might be a little bit extreme. But the next time that you're angry at your kids,
Oh
no.
no, Jimmy, where's this going?
imagine
But
they
don't
died.
have legs.
Oh no.
No, so imagine your kid died,
wow.
and really
Jimmy,
sit in
too
that for
far.
1 minute, and really try to imagine like you woke up and your kid was dead.
Well,
Really imagine it for 1 minute,
Okay. No, I'm not. But okay.
and
Yeah.
then when after that 1 minute exercise, you're gonna look and be like, even though they were annoying, they're not dead, and
true.
I am really glad that they're not dead. And now
Yeah.
I'm much happier with the
Parents
situation.
go through that all the time.
They do that?
Yeah.
They imagine their kids are dead?
No, but it's like you yell at your kids and they go to bed and then you're laying there in the dark night and you're like, oh, what have I done?
I wish. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever. I mean, but that. I mean, I did it on the way to work today. I was just driving my car. I'm like, what if I didn't have a car? And I'm
Okay,
like,
that's,
it would.
yeah, that's a little more relevant to your circumstance.
I'm like, I would have had to walk all the way here. It would. But then I'm like, oh wow, I really enjoy having this car.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that paired with the happiness equation is, if you want to be happier, just imagine you don't have legs or a car.
It also seems more like a gratitude thing,
That's true.
too.
It does definitely tie into gratitude because you don't realize the things you have, how valuable they are until you don't have them.
Yeah.
So if you imagine not having them and kind of live in that reality, then you realize, oh, wow, the situation I'm in right now is really good.
Yeah.
And that.
Where's that tied to?
1 Thessalonians 5:18. Give thanks in everything, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus.
Including your legs.
Yeah, give thanks. Well, yeah, because when you have that attitude of like thanksgiving, and yeah, it changes how you view the world around you. I think that's why, like, so many times throughout Scripture, like you see, like Jesus giving thanks. Like right after John the Baptist died, like he had this terrible tragedy in his life. His cousin was murdered, and then he like tries to get alone, and then all the crowds come to him and all this stuff, and that's where he feeds the 5,000. But he like breaks the bread and he gives thanks. And like to me, it's a very powerful picture because he's in my own flesh. I'd be very frustrated. Like I was trying to get away, and all these people are here, and now I have to feed them. Like, but instead he's like, "Thank you, God. Like thank you for the little bread that we have," and then it does this great miracle. But I mean that, the 1 Thessalonians passage. Rejoice always, pray constantly, and give thanks in everything, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And I think, like our expectations, it's going to be like a lot of times they're not going to be met, and we're going to have hard things happen in life. And so I think if you look for those things of how can we give thanks in the midst of hardship, in the midst of feeling alone and all that stuff, then it'll go better for us. And so,
Well, yeah, and I think it's you have the optimist and the pessimist, and the illustration everyone uses is you see a glass and you see one says it's half empty and one person says it's half full. And I think what the difference there is, one person is focusing on what they do have, and the other person is focusing on what they don't have. And I think our natural tendencies is because we want all these things in life, we are more typically focusing on the things we don't have. But if we take time to really focus on the things we do have, like legs, then it's like, oh, it's nice having all these things that I do have.
Yeah.
major pain. I can't feel my legs. I said, Bubba, that's because they ain't there. All right. So, hey, I hope this podcast exceeded your expectations today.
Did mine.
If not, lower them.
Yeah. I think if they're listening to our podcast, they probably came in with pretty low expectations. So.
Probably exceeded.
But thanks for joining us. I'm Chris.
I'm Adrienne.
And I'm Jimmy.
And we'll see you next time.